I had a shitty childhood. I discovered that the only way out, the only way to exist, was to find the humorous side of the tragedy, of what made me miserable, whether it was Stan and Ollie or Chaplin. But I noticed that every time I saw them, they touched something in me that said there is another side to all of this. And I found that salvation out of myself in those great comedians, comics. The slapstick, all of it appealed to me, took me away, made me laugh. And for me, laughter is the greatest catharsis in the whole world.
It's good to have a laugh.
The concept of a silent film stuck with me until one day I walked into the Mirage Company, where I was employed at that time, and said I'd like to do a silent film with Sellers.
Peter Sellers and Blake Edwards first began their long association in late 1962 with the filming of The Pink Panther. They worked together again a year later on a sequel, A Shot in the Dark. Both films were released in 1964 to worldwide acclaim and international success.
That overused and abused word chemistry certainly existed with Blake Edwards and Peter Sellers. They sparked one another, and great scenes came out of it. Also, great differences of opinion. Unfortunately, the relationship between Blake and Peter deteriorated during The Shot in the Dark. And despite the fact that we were very anxious to make a third Pink Panther with the combination at that time, they simply did not want to work with one another.
You're wiped out. You're finished.
He's a terrible man.
At one time I did say, I'll never make another film with him again, and that was Shot in the Dark.
You get off of my set and get out of my picture.
At that particular time, Peter had left Hollywood, had done so under some very difficult circumstances.
I mean, he always finished up one of our films and saying, I'll never work with Blake Edwards again, or I'll never come back to Hollywood again.
It was mystifying and hurtful.
I think he secretly hated me for making him successful financially and critically a lot too, when he felt that, and justifiably so, when he felt that Strangelove and things like that were greater artistic achievements. And they were.
Blake hatched the idea of doing a film around a comedic character who is an uninvited guest at a Hollywood party.
It was important that we have a star for the film.
He began to think more of Peter Sellers and the kind of character he could create.
It was important that Peter Sellers, whom Blake had kind of designed the concept around, maybe be available to star in this.
To put up with Peter Sellers means literally to have the best of all possible times and the worst of all possible times. And I calculated when I wanted to do the party that it would be the best of all possible times. And I tested that by talking to him. And I felt I was right.
Why did they do it? I think it is sufficient to say that it was a great idea for both of them.
So it was worth a shot, because he was a genius in his own way. And it was something that I had always wanted to do, and he had too. And I didn't have anything else to do at that time. I had made one film that kind of disappointed me, and I wanted to do better. There were a lot of reasons for it.
I think the careers of both of them illustrates the fact that they both realized what the other meant to his own talent, and they kept coming back to one another at various stages in their careers.
Everybody makes compromises. We're all hypocrites to some degree. And the ones that are closest to not being are my heroes. And that's gotten me in a lot of trouble.
The Party is rather unique. Certainly among all the films I've ever been involved with, it has the shortest script of any that I have ever worked with. As a matter of fact, it is a script that runs some 63 pages, which of course tells you how much of this film was improvised.
This was the framework. That's what the script was. A framework to do a silent movie.
We were doing an homage to the silent era, that Sellers was going to become one of his heroes, one of my heroes out of the silent. We were going to do it in color, which made it a little more update, but we were going to do it with subtitles, and all of it pantomime. After a day's shooting, he found he couldn't do it.
God damn it! God!
And he had to be a character who spoke.
Mr. Bakshi,
Yes, sir.
has it occurred to you that the period of our picture is 1878?
Oh, yes, indeed, sir. I'm well aware that that is the period of the film, 1878.
Mr. Bakshi, are you also aware that in 1878 they weren't wearing underwater watches?
Yes, sir, I know that. They had not even been invented.
Got the time?
Yes. Oh, my God.
And so we decided that the best thing to do, the closest we could come, would be to just have a format for the play, but make it up as we go along.
What do you want, eh? You like my feet, do you? I will feel and away you go. Feet are considered a delicacy among certain animals, you know.
He said to me one day, I want to do a story where it's spontaneous. It's like the creativity of the actors all bringing something to it.
That's covered, engine.
Oh! Got you! Bang hardy, partner.
Pretty quick on a draw
Never
there,
I
right?
believe in all my whole life I would meet him and he would go, bang, partner.
I had 3 or 4 lines in the original script that they showed me and from which I read, and I ended up with, I don't know how many lines, but it was a marvelous part when it's finished.
Well, I don't know if I really understood that it would be, in the main, improvised.
Although it was difficult and there was going to be a great deal of improvisation, we felt that it wasn't something that was going to get seriously out of hand. We didn't have the Titanic. We just had Peter and a group of people in a house.
We had a party, so it's one house, mainly one set. It has to be shot in continuity, so you know where you're going the next day, what you've done, what you've established. That's the most important thing.
The busiest person on the set was the script lady who was writing all the time, or what did you say? Because it wasn't there.
We assembled the same key collaborators from the Panther Pictures.
I turned it over to those people. I got the best people I could and said, here's my vision, contribute.
The idea originally was to find a house, rent it, and do the entire thing on a location in an actual standing house. As the picture developed, well, we realized that would create more difficulties than our building a set.
And this set was created on the stage that is partially a tank at Goldwyn because we wanted a pool surrounding the house. And there's an interesting scene in the house, of course, when Peter does come to the party, and he walks in the door and he begins to wash the mud of his shoe off in the water, loses his shoe, and the shoe begins to go through a series of water chutes.
The joke just grew and like a plant.
Vodka, scotch.
One of the things that amazed me when I first went to work on the party was the relaxation and time that the two of them used to build a joke.
Hors d'oeuvres, sir.
Well, I'm on a diet, but to hell with it.
He wanted a character, When he said, you know, how about Harundi V. Vakshi? I said, great, and that was that.
Hurundi V. Bakshi.
Pardon?
That is what my name is called.
Do you mean Harundi Vibakshi?
Where are you from?
I am from India.
Deeply Indian from Bombay.
Do you speak Hindustani?
No.
Well, you're not missing anything.
And I loved his Indian character, and so did the Indians. It was so precise.
They loved the party.
In India, he's actually said to have put on brown-faced makeup and gone through town dressed as a Sikh. Again, a little bit dangerous to do.
Hari Ram Ram.
I've seen him do characterizations. He was better than almost anybody.
He loved his brilliance at being able to do voices. Of course, you know, his whole career had begun that way.
This is a particularly good one because it will help you always to remember how many days there are in each month.
Okay.
It goes like this. 30 days has September, October, June and February. All the rest got 29, except my brother got 6 months.
I went for a year talking this way. He established the Indian in me.
Who do you think you are?
In India, we don't think who we are. We know who we are.
You're my sugar.
I am not your sugar.
His character, as it appears in The Party, very similar to the character he plays in The Millionaires.
Oh, big chief, speak with pork tongue.
Sellers wasn't unless he was some kind of an extreme character.
He was a compulsive impersonator. He needed to assume other characters for fun and entertainment, mostly for himself. If other people laughed, so much the better, but it was really for his own entertainment.
And in his real life, there was kind of no Sellers.
It was fun to watch him on the set because he would go off by himself. And Birdie Num Nums?
Birdie Num Num.
Birdie Num Num.
Birdie Num Num.
Birdie Num Nums came from him off by himself.
There was a cage with that dumb parrot. And Sellers took one look at it.
Would you like some food, Polly?
And did his Birdie Num Num.
He's having the Birdie Num Nums.
Oh, we all said Birdie Num Num. It became the absolute. We didn't say hello to people anymore. You just said Birdie Num Num.
Birdie Num Nums, and we all were happy with Birdie Num Nums, which have become kind of like a byword for pet food.
Num Num. Num Num. Birdie Num Num.
Blake had said to me, well, we need something for him to do as he wanders around the house. And I said, I got it. Give me a couple of days. And so I went to work with the prop department and designed that electronic panel where all the switches were. And I said to Jim Songer, build me the panel, but I want an oscilloscope above it, so when he talks into the intercom microphone, the oscilloscope moves around.
What in the world is that?
I can't imagine.
You're waiting for the character to stop acting like an ass, and perhaps he's going to finally get to accomplish what he wanted to do.
I wanted to be so abrasive and so genuinely decent and not wanting to hurt anybody that all he did was just fuck things up. Because we all have a little bit of that in us. We all say, why did I say that, or why did I do that?
That's all part of trying to keep the audience off balance. And hopefully keep them laughing while that's going on.
Howdy, partner.
Denny Miller, great guy, wonderful basketball player at UCLA. And my friend John Wooden, the UCLA basketball coach, our family's friend, often spoke very highly of Denny and from a family of athletes. And he did so well as Tarzan. He was a good Tarzan.
Oh, you got me right in the pantaloon, partner.
Big, strong, had a funny sense of humor. Seemed perfect for Wyoming Bill Kelso.
You are you not Wyoming Bill Kelso, the famous film star?
That's me, in the flesh.
I mean, he was just bigger than life, to himself.
God, what a moment in my life. Oh, sir, I've seen every one of your films.
Oh, well, that's
What an honor to me.
wonderful.
I crush his hand every time I shake it.
Oh, howdy, little buddy.
I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of the fact that I'm hurting him.
It's an honor to have had my hand crushed by Wyoming and Bill Kelso. Wait till I tell them back home.
That led to one of the funniest sequences in the whole damn thing, where he sticks his hand in the caviar.
Cool.
Blake took from the actors and took it beyond where they ever thought it would go.
Blake would say to me on a day's work, "What do you want to do here?" No director had ever said that to me before.
I just loved him. I didn't have to tell him to do anything. Really, just go here, go there, and be drunk. Take another drink. Go over and make love to her at the, and what he'd come up with. Well, the best drunk in films or anyplace else. Pretend drunk.
Blake just encouraged this kind of creative improvisation.
And Steve gave it a beautiful progression with a duck walk. That duck walk of his flat feet going across the floor. And of course he gets so smashed that when he comes to the water, he doesn't get on the stepping stones to cross the water. He just dives right in and slop, slop through 2 feet of water up to his knees.
Sometimes new things would come up, and I'd say, "We'll get an elephant." And I remember one morning coming in a little hungover, I guess, and I was sitting at a table talking to somebody about what we were going to shoot, having some coffee. And around the corner came this baby elephant's trunk and sort of felt me up to see what I was, and then peeked around the corner. Boy, I'm glad I wasn't drunk, because I really would be having DTs.
Hi.
He was cute. Cute little elephant.
We had a wonderful elderly man who was kind of the janitor, the cleanup person. And he had to go around and clean up elephant poop, even though it was baby elephant poop. There were tons of it, and he'd have to get in there with a shovel. We had a band on this set all the time. And every time he'd come out to shovel up the poop, they'd play "There's No Business Like Show Business." And that's kind of the atmosphere that we worked under.
Hey, gang! Hey, gang, we're gonna wash the elephant!
In order to have the soap suds, we had to find some source. And at that particular time, when you needed a scene like that with soap suds on water, you got a hold of the rescue department at LAX airport. And you got them in their off hours to bring in their foam truck.
And they produced an immense amount of foam.
And Dick Crockett, Blake's longtime friend, a wonderful guy, one of the top stuntmen in Hollywood, looked at the pool, and I was standing there, and suddenly he said, "Hey, everybody, it's throw Ken in the pool day, throw the producer in the pool." And the next thing I knew, Dick was catapulting me through the air with another guy on the other side, through the air, out 20 feet away, and I dropped into the center of the pool and broke the suds open and went on down. And I thought, well, this is kind of fun. It's nice to have them want to throw the producer in the pool. Why not? And when I came up to the top, and no air, because the suds are used at the airport to stifle oxygen.
And another thing was that it was almost impossible to breathe. You were in a giant soap suds.
And I thought, this is weird. And all I could do was look up. And if you look through bubbles and they're bursting, it's kind of sparkling, and you could see the stage lights from the catwalk, and I could hear voices in the distance through the foam, and all I could do is try and tread water, but no air.
In that foam, you can't see anything.
I thought, I'll just start swimming towards something. And I swam to my right, and luckily I picked one of the shorter routes to the edge. And as I passed out, my fingernails went ping, and someone said, "I think he's over here." And they pulled me out just before I was becoming unconscious.
At the end, I dive into the pool, and I had been told to hold my breath and push the foam out of the way. before breathing. But the actual fact of the matter is, when you dive into a pool, you can break the water and you just automatically take a breath. So I automatically took a breath and sucked in this foam, and it was just, ugh. And I was coughing and sputtering, and I swam over to the other end of the pool, beating this foam out of the way. And Corinne Cole was the lady that I had the hots for. I reached up to her, and she had a bottle that was supposed to be vodka that was full of water, and I said, "Pour it on my face! Pour it on my face, I can't breathe!" Oh, that was my scary moment.
They were very lucky that somebody didn't get hurt.
We all survived. I mean, there was sometime at one moment we thought people had disappeared in the pool, but everybody survived.
I've never been to a party, as I say, like the one that's depicted in this picture.
On one of the scenes, the one where the swinging door opens and you can see the waiter and the head waiter, he's choking him. Came to the end of where everybody thought we were going to stop, and there was no voice from Blake Edwards to cut. And he was on the floor laughing so hard that he couldn't say cut.
They didn't resurrect me for a few hours.
You know something extraordinary is happening when the actors and actresses who are not involved in the scene are there on the set watching. That's when you realize that something extraordinary is going on. And it was 12 weeks of that.
And so they went along with it, God bless them. And we had a party.
When you have a party, my mom always said, "Ken, leave the party when you're having a good time, and you'll always have a good time."
It was the best fun I've ever had in film.
The whole darn thing was heaven.
We had a wonderful time on the party.
The party gets groovy and everyone here loses control, yeah. Our minds fly away as the band starts to play, we rock and roll. Come on, baby, listen to me here now, no time for meditation. Just feel the wildfire.